This is a Canadian Berliner Model D. It's one of the earlier machines that Berliner built in Canada. Once he had moved his operations from the United States and founded the industry in Canada, he's introduced several machines, and this was one of the early ones. Many of those machines take after Victor products, and in some of my other videos of these machines, you'll see I mention over and over that, look, they look a lot like a Victor machine. But this is a curious one because it doesn't really look like a Victor machine. In fact, it's kind of a curious revisiting of the Berliner trademark. I mean, it really is kind of a trademark with a bigger box around it to enclose the motor, and the motor is moved at an angle here, but it's still got a crank on the top instead of on the side as the other machines of that era would have had. So it's kind of an interesting machine. I'm not exactly sure why they bothered with it, because it couldn't have been a lot cheaper than building the regular trademark, which was well known and popular machine. But I guess they wanted to try something different and put that, sort of give the trademark a little bit of an upgrade. But then they moved on quite quickly from this. And so we don't see a lot of these machines. So I'm going to bring you in closer to take a look at it, and you'll see a very rare Canadian machine. I've always been a big fan of the Canadian Berliner Model D, because before I was able to get a trademark machine when I was first starting out, this is one I found at an antique show, and it was so happy to have found it because it looked like a trademark. I mean, it was basically that to me. So it's one of the first machines I ever got. Here it is. You can see the typical Canadian Berliner reproducer or sound box. And the tone arm on this is vertical. If you look at the American Berliner gramophones, the trademark and the others, the tone arm's horizontal, but he flipped it on its side for the Canadian market. And there's the Berliner decal. You can see that, same as the American one, only it says Berliner instead of Victor. And there's the speed control and the brake, which is modeled after a Victor brake. And then we got the typical ID plate. This was later replaced on their machines with a rectangular one that looked a lot more like the American plate, and it had the Nipper dog on it.